reasons. But one of the things I'll talk about, you saw the other I think the one that I recorded. This one is almost the same. It's just designed to be for a larger audience, not just my students, but also for students in the entire social science department. So what I've done is narrowed the presentation down to just internships and um, the fellowship, CIA fellowship. So I will go ahead and get started. I know people are joining in, uh, but like I said before, I like to start on time and finish on time, and be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you all for joining. First of all, this is an important uh, area of discussion, and I'd like to kind of carry this as sort of just a general talk, and then at the end we'll I'll just open it up and let anybody ask any questions that they have about these internships. Uh, the main thing is just to kind of put this on our minds as we move forward through this program. Some of you may know already, especially my students, you may have seen some of it in my bio. Those of you who don't have me yet for a class, um, I'm a retired Navy intelligence officer. After my retirement, I worked for several federal agencies as the intelligence director and also personnel and security administration director. Everything that we're talking about today, I've done. I've investigated people for clearances. I've been a hiring manager for the federal government, both when I was an officer in the Navy and also as a federal civilian. So these things I'm very intimately familiar with. But more than that, I know for a fact that students who don't go to don't go to programs in HBCUs like ours, students who go to places like Georgetown and George Washington University and all those other big schools, they they're 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 getting this every single day, and they're taking all the internships. One of the things that I pointed out to my colleagues in the intelligence and homeland security uh, enterprise before I left government was we need more outreach. We need to have these conversations in everybody's school. So for that reason, we're having this discussion today, and I hope it at least puts these things on you all's mind as we move forward. I'll start with a brief video. Uh, it's a little dated, but it talks about uh, just some of the career pathways that are available in the Department of Homeland Security, which is the point of the internship experience, right? I'll talk about the value of a Department of Homeland Security internship and also a federal internship from other agencies. I'll talk specifically about uh, a few federal internships and one Department of Homeland Security internship that I think represent the low-hanging fruit that present in terms of availability for students at both the undergraduate and graduate school level. It's important to note that as well. I'll talk about the importance of a security clearance, and quite frankly, this is the time to start thinking about it because now in the academic/learning environment, one of the things that we need to learn about is obtaining the credentials that are necessary to go into the Homeland Security profession. And you'll see when I talk about it, applying for a job, going into a career in the Homeland Security and national security profession means applying for two things. You're applying for the opportunity, the career, and you're also applying for the clearance. You got to have both if you want to be successful. And then I'll just share, I'm sure all of you have it, but just to put it on the screen, Dr. Doss and my contact information. Before I move forward, let me check and see. I don't see Dr. Doss in here. I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Doss, or And let me just ask Dr. Doss or Dr. Craddock, are either of you on with us? I just want to pause and give you a chance to offer a few words before I dive into this. I see we have somebody on here, I guess, iPad. Who is that? Somebody lurking without their name. Who is iPad? Reveal yourself.
That might be me too. I got two different screens set up.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. So see if I can get this video. This video is only a few minutes long, but it's important because the, I just wanted you all to see what this leads to. And like James Evans said on Good Times, we're here trying to get a career, not just a job, right? That's what this is about.
Dr. Bishop, I believe the audio is up to the video.
The audio, is it working?
Yes.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. I just noticed that in the chat. Okay, well we'll just keep rolling then. This the You can find this same video on the Department of Homeland Security YouTube channel. It just goes through the various careers that are available in DHS, and again, that's the point of the internship experience, to have a pathway to these careers, and it's a wide open field. Yes, as Homeland Security majors, it is true that when your application goes up in USA Jobs, that you have sort of an inside track, especially when you've done something like an internship experience. However, agencies like DHS and all the other federal agencies, if you are a professional with a college degree or some type of graduate degree, you saw the lady, one of the people on there, you didn't hear her, but she's a lawyer. Um, they they just want you to come in as a professional ready to serve your country. What is the value of an internship? You gain, like any other internship, marketable on-the-job experience. And as a DHS or a federal intern with any other agency, you work side by side doing the same work as other federal employees. What you do is no different. They don't put you off on the side, in a side corner somewhere, just shuffling papers. You get a clearance in most instances before you go do that internship, and you are doing real work pertaining to Homeland and national security. That's extremely valuable because when you think about it, what other college graduate has that kind of experience in addition to having a security clearance? So it really gives you kind of a head start. Work as an intern can also, quite frankly, let you figure out what type of pathway you'd like to pursue career-wise. What did you like and what didn't you like about your internship experience? It's good to know those things before you hit the job market at the federal level, because it'll save you time and it'll save it'll probably give you a much better head start if you can get involved in something that you have a genuine interest in, and you know what you like and you don't like. And the internship experience definitely gives you that. You don't have to go into the field that you had the internship with. It's important to note that. Another good thing about the federal internship experience is the security clearance. And I'll talk about this in more depth in a few minutes. But the federal security clearance that most internships require in the Homeland and national security fields, that security clearance is the same security clearance that you have as a regular federal employee or as an active duty military man. It's the exact same clearance. So just imagine you graduate from Elizabeth City State, you've had an internship experience, and you have your security clearance. Just imagine how marketable that makes you when you go into USA Jobs and you're trying to make that certification list so you can get that job interview. People with security clearances in the federal government earn more money at entry level and at the managerial level than any other person working for the federal government. When you have an internship with most agencies, the CIA does guarantee you a job if you do an internship or fellowship with them. The other agencies don't give you a guaranteed job, but those are pathways into the federal service. And these agencies have made an investment in you. You've obtained a clearance to get the internship, and you've done work for these folks. They're not going to let you walk away after you graduate. They made an investment in who you are and what your aspirations are, and something is going to work out for you. Okay, through these internships, it's not something that you do and it doesn't lead to anything. Okay, it gives you a chance to network, meet, and develop relationships with colleagues, uh, both during your internship experience and after you graduate. And also, working an internship gives you a chance to get to immerse yourself in the federal sector and give you an opportunity to develop follow-on academic experiences if you plan to go to graduate school. You can use those and leverage those relationships for various forms of qualitative and quantitative research designs that you may be looking at as a graduate student. So it opens up a lot of doors for you, basically. So let's talk about some specific internships. And just to let you know that these are just a few, okay, that are available in the Homeland and National Security Enterprise. But I just wanted to talk about a couple that I think are the low-hanging fruit of the industry. The Department of Homeland Security has a segment called the Office of Intelligence and Analysis. I know people who work for INA. They run a very good internship program. It is specifically designed to bring in undergraduate and graduate students to do real work over the summer. They pay you as a federal employee during the time, usually it's between 10 and 12 weeks. They pay you as a federal employee, usually between a GS5 and GS7 scale, depending on what type of work you're doing. And you can do a little bit of everything, depending on where your interest is. You can do straight up intelligence analysis. You can be involved in actual intelligence, hands-on intelligence operations. You can be working with management support, administrative support, security administration, IT, policy development, you name it. INA has all those pathways set up that you can get involved in. And again, this is a paid internship. There are requirements. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be eligible to apply for and obtain a top secret SCI security clearance. You have to have at least a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. All males by federal laws applies to the Office of Personnel and Management guidelines. If you're a male over the age of 18, you have to be registered with the Selective Service. Now, application timeframes for the INA internship vary, but generally speaking, it's roughly mid to late summer. This year, it opened up in July and ended on August 30th, right? But the key is to keep your eye on USA Jobs or the DHS.gov student page, okay? They will announce usually a month or so before the window opens up when they are accepting applicants into the internship program. The important thing to remember is the reason why they open up the internship application a year before is because of this security clearance requirement. So like the people who applied, put their applications in this summer, they were applying for next summer's internship because if they are accepted into the program, it takes about that long for them to go through the security clearance process. The Central Intelligence Agency, everybody's heard of them, right? I would say that, I mean, we're in DHS, we're about DHS, but keep in mind that Homeland Security and national security are intertwined. Okay, so these are opportunities that are available that that you still have an inside track on as a Homeland Security major or even a criminal justice major or any of the social sciences. The Central Intelligence Agency has a Minority Serving Institution Fellowship Program. It also is called their internship program. There is no better deal in the national security industry and at the federal level for students than the CIA fellowship/internship program. Number one, it's designed specifically for students who attend what is called at federal level, the term is Minority Serving Institution or an HBCU. Okay. Keep in mind that this program is several years old. It's been offered in the past in various forms, but for the last several years, it's been a big deal. This program may not be offered at all or as it is now, depending on what happens with future administration, okay? Because of the specific focus in terms of opportunity, right? You all understand what I'm saying there? Okay. It depends on who's in office. If you have a program that is designed for minority serving institutions, it may or may not be something that every single administration continues. Okay. That's why I tell people if you see something like this and this still exists, I recommend that you at least give it a shot. Because once you're in it, you're a legacy, you're part of the legacy, so they can't pull you out of it. They have to honor their commitment to you, right? So let's talk about the MSI. Enough about that. Let's talk about the MSI and what it's about. You basically do regular intel work. You're assigned to an office in DC for 90 days each summer. Usually you do one at the least, two. They like to see people do two during their undergraduate or graduate degree experience. You have to have at least a 3.0 GPA. You see a lot of similarities in the DHS requirements, right? You have to be in the selective services if you're a male. You have to have at least one semester of school left after serving your last fellowship. And again, the fellowship is the 90 days of service you do during the summer. You have to be able to live in the DC area, and you have to be able to apply for and obtain based on the CIA security guidelines with regard to medical, qualification and also the security clearance requirements. This is why the CIA fellowship is such a good deal. They will give you at least, and you can go to the page, cia.gov students, and it'll take you directly to everything I'm talking about. They will give you at least $50,000 a year to be in their fellowship program. It doesn't get any better than that. If you are successful in the fellowship program and you graduate, you will have a guaranteed job with the Central Intelligence Agency doing the same work you did as an intern. I think that's a great deal. To be paid as a student at least $50K per year, and then to be able to have a guaranteed job once you graduate. You get the same security clearance as other federal employees working for the CIA and other agencies. You can go into any of the fields you see listed there, right? And that's just a representative list. That's not an exhaustive list. Obviously, we're intelligence analysts, homeland security analysts, but I just offer that list as to give you kind of a snapshot of what type of opportunities are out there. I wouldn't say that the opportunities are limitless, but you can do anything you want. If you go get into the CIA fellowship program, they will ask you, what are you interested in? And they will do their level best to get you to that office in DC for the 90 days each summer that you go up there and work. The CIA fellowship program application time frame, it varies. There is no quote unquote set time frame. Once you show interest, that basically begins your process, right? And the screening and submission of documents and the rest of it. If you go to the fellowship program homepage, the URL that you see there, for minority serving institutions, and click on that big red button that looks exactly like that, express interest. Then it will take you through a series of screens that guide you as to the next steps. You'll probably have to provide your name, your information, and how you can be contacted, and people will follow up with you. Okay. I cannot overstate how great an opportunity the CIA fellowship program is compared. I mean, they're all great opportunities, but this is the only one that pays you year round and has a guaranteed job for you once you're done. Let's talk about the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Now, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center program, college internship program, is not a paid internship, but they do give you, if you go to any other site other than Washington, D.C., they do provide you with room and board while you are attending their internship program during the summer. It's still a great deal. It still gives you real world experience. You're basically there assisting the people who run the Law Enforcement Training Center. Is there anybody who knows what the Law Enforcement Training Center who they train? Anybody? Yeah, they train any law enforcement agency that has a federal enforcement component. You have to go to Glencoe, Georgia, and some other sites to receive your federal law enforcement certification. This goes for every agency: FBI, DEA, ATF, any federal police officer who wears a uniform, even the Department of Veterans Affairs, they have police officers. They have to receive federal law enforcement training certification. And as an intern, you go to these training centers for 12 weeks during the summer before you go, summer after you apply, and you just help out in any way you can with the administering of the program. Okay. I am told that applying for this does not have the same level of security clearance requirement as the others. that I've talked about up until now. There is a background investigation that will be done, but it is not as intrusive as the CIA or DHS, where you're actually getting a top secret clearance. You're just being evaluated for a person who holds a position of trust. Okay, but it's still a great deal. They take care. They take very, very good care of you. The only place where they don't pay for your room and board is if you go to Washington D.C. For the 12-week program. You're obliged to basically resource and fund your own experience. If you can afford to do it, it's still a very good deal. And the reason why I say that is because, again, when you put your job application in USA Jobs when you're in your senior year, and I tell all my students, I'm often asked, when should I start applying for things in USA Jobs? The beginning of your senior year is when you should start applying for jobs in USA Jobs and looking for opportunities in public-facing, unclassified sites where they have alternate ways for you to apply. The beginning of your senior year is when you should start. Generally speaking, FLETC has an application window for its internship that begins around February, March timeframe. It varies from year to year. Like every other internship opportunity, they are obliged as a federal agency to announce their student program in USA Jobs. So you get yourself a USA Jobs account, go to www.usajobs.gov. It's like anything else, like LinkedIn or anything else. You just put your information in there, your resume, uh, your anticipated date of graduation, the rest of it, and then you will have access to all the announcements that come up, and you'll be able to apply if it's done through USA Jobs. Okay, FLETC is the one that's very specific. You have to have a USA Jobs to apply to this opportunity. They really, the FLETC internship program is really big on anyone majoring in Homeland Security or criminal justice or any aspect of that, although they will take anybody. The Defense Intelligence Agency Summer Internship Program. This is probably one of the longest running internship programs in the federal government with regard to national security. The summer internship program, like DHS and CIA, gives you a chance to gain real world experience working with people at the DIA who are doing the same work you'll be doing as an intern. DIA has a wide range of support offices ranging from intelligence to logistics to business administration to policy, all the way down the line. Okay. The summer internship program at DIA is probably one of the flagship programs because it's been running the longest, and all the other agencies have sort of modeled their requirements on the way DIA has. One of the things that's different, you'll see, and I won't go through them all, they're basically the same as the others in terms of the requirement, but one of the things that's different about the DIA requirement for students is that you have to have at least 60 credits completed by the beginning of the internship that you start that summer. So that's a lot of leeway, really. Basically, it means that you should be done with your sophomore year, right? By the time so the end of your sophomore year is when you'd be looking at. So I tell students who've asked me about this in the past, what this basically means is that at the end of your freshman year, if you want to start as soon as the end of your sophomore year, you should apply for the DIA internship program. The only thing that's different, the other thing that's different is that sometimes, not every time, but some offices that accept interns in the DIA program require a polygraph or lie detector exam. Okay. That doesn't go for every office in DIA, but some require a polygraph in addition to the regular full scope background security investigation for the top secret SCI clearance. The application window for DIA is 1 year prior, just like for DHS and basically for some of the other agencies that require the security clearance. DIA typically opens up its application window in March or February, and the announcement, like all the others, they're obliged by federal law and OPM guidelines to make the announcement in USA Jobs. So if you want to, let's say you wanted to apply for the DIA summer internship program this year, and so in February or March of 2025, you dropped your application. That means that the internship you would be applying for would be the summer of 2026. And again, the reason for that is because if you are accepted, they will give you a tentative offer of acceptance into the DIA internship program. And it's a tentative offer pending your security clearance background investigation. Okay. Which segues me to security clearances. Most internships in the U.S. Homeland Security and national security communities and intel as well. As I said at the top of this presentation, you're applying for two things. You're applying for the job, the internship, and you're applying for the clearance. Right? So it's important to keep that in mind. Because you are in a highly a very exclusive position of trust. Anybody holding a top secret clearance in this business, you have to go through the security background check. What is a security clearance? It just simply means that the government has granted you status to handle top secret, up to top secret classified information, and in some cases above top secret if you have if you've been granted access to special access programs. I had a conversation with, and I don't name drop. I try not to, but I try to convey thoughts directly from the community when I can without name dropping. I was told earlier this year by a very, very senior person in the intelligence community to tell any student I talk to about security clearances that today there is nothing more important than that security clearance with regard to your career. Now that may seem basic, but it hasn't necessarily always been that way. But because of the information age we live in, the level playing field between us and a lot of other countries in terms of access to information. I mean, it's not like it used to be when I came into this in the late 80s, right? I mean, it's not hard to get your hands on information. That makes having a security clearance, that it makes that much more important because you have access to information that almost nobody else has access to. And as a holder of a security clearance, there is nothing that can jumpstart your career quicker than that if you want to go to work in the federal government. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm often asked what's looked at when a person applies for a security clearance, right? Basically, the government looks at you and the people who've been around you. And by that, I mean like people you shared homes with, even during the course of your life, going back to birth. They look at every immediate family member. They look at you in depth. They look at every place you've lived since the day you were born. They look at places you traveled overseas, social media, your finances, any adverse involvement you may have had with law enforcement. And because drug use, obviously, in terms of the federal government, I know in various states, um, uh, things like marijuana and some other drugs are no longer illegal. But use of any illegal substance in terms of federal law is still prohibited. So that's something that's looked at as well, including marijuana. Okay. I will say this though, that that may sound the list you see there, and they look at other things too, but those are the biggies. It may seem strict, maybe may not, but I can tell you that compared to when I first came in the late '80s, they have a much more relaxed approach to the things that will keep a person from getting a security clearance. The main thing is just to tell everything that you know, right? And I was in a room with the person who is in charge of human resources for the National Security Agency. That's the agency that handles all the signals intelligence for the country. Those of you who have me for the Introduction to Intelligence Analysis class, we'll talk about SIG in depth. But I was in the room last year with the person who does the hiring, who's in charge of the hiring for the signals intelligence community in the United States. And he said that even if a person has some, recreational use of drugs or whatever, their guideline is that as long as you haven't used in 90 days and you articulate that you have no intention of using moving forward, they want you to apply. Back in the day, if you had any involvement with illegal substances, it was an automatic disqualification. Don't even put your paperwork in. So you can see how times have changed, right? Just be honest, be upfront. They know people have lives. They know, sometimes your credit may not be as good as it could be, that sort of thing. Um, Finances, challenges come up. They just want to see that you are going to tell them the things that you've had problems with and what your solutions have been. That's it. It may or may not be a disqualification, but the main thing is that they want you to do, in the term of art in the community is called self-report. Did this person self-report, or did we have to dig and find out that information, right? Because they look at that as sort of an integrity check. But if you just come out and say, look, 10 years ago, I had this going on. It was something that was going on in my life. I took care of it, squared it away. Now I'm in a better place. Most of the time they'll say, okay, got it. Thanks for letting us know. Most of the time when I've been an investigator, we've been able to see that that wasn't really a big deal. But just be honest about it, right? Security clearance process, you have to submit the SF-86 form or the electronic version of it, depending on what agency you go with. The background investigation takes place, it's usually 6 to 12 months. The Office of Personnel and Management, they either conduct the background investigation or they contract with a civilian entity that does the investigation. They give that investigation, the packet, to the agency that hired you, and that agency makes a final determination of what we call adjudication, and then or picked you up for the internship, and then you go from the tentative offer to the final offer of the internship. I have a student who is still at the institution I taught at last year, and she has successfully interviewed and has received a tentative offer and has now begun her background investigation. So we're really optimistic that she's going to get through that, and it'll be a good thing. So basically, uh, we just hit the wave tops. In the Homeland and national security, this industry in the United States federal government, this can be its own class, really. I just talked about the low-hanging fruit programs that I know that if you qualify for these, if you meet the minimum requirements, the minimum standards, you have a real good chance of getting picked up. And again, Homeland Security, the INA program, it is a paid internship. every summer that you qualify for that. But the CIA program, there is no better deal than that in terms of compensation and then follow on career opportunities. And look, again, with the security clearance, uh, just take a life inventory. Take a look at your. I mean, this is exactly what OPM tells its investigators. Take a look at the person and take a look at the people around the person. Just take a life inventory. Um, and it sounds a little. It can sound a little funny, right? When you start to look at yourself and look at the people around you, like, okay, do I really need to be around these folks or in this situation? Because your lifestyle choices affect your ability to get a security clearance. And so now is the time to learn to make those decisions that the federal government considers an endorsement for the kind of person they want to give a top secret clearance to. Obviously, Dr. Dawes is our program coordinator, and he teaches in the program, and you see my contact information there as well. I just wanted to offer those. If you have any follow-on questions, one of the questions I get most often after I give this sort of presentation is I have people come to me offline with regard to uh, uh, different aspects of applying for the programs, but also for the clearance. And there was a young lady, if I could just share this real quick story. She was thinking about going into Army intelligence, and she was a little nervous because of some issues going on in her family. And I told her, look, I said, um, that's not even you, that's your family. But because it's immediate family, you do have to get it out there. And it turned out to be no big deal. They were like, no problem. And now she's an Army major. This was years ago. Now she's an Army major in the United States Army as an intelligence officer. And I can tell you that her family situation was a humdinger, right? But she just put it out there. She said, "This is the deal. This is what happened. These are the personal solutions I came up with, and that sort of thing." And they were like, "Look, got it. Thanks for telling us. We appreciate that you self-reported." And it ended up not being a disqualifying factor. Yeah. Real quick before I wrap up, does anyone have any is there anyone who has a question that they'd like to ask in front of the group?
I have a question. So the so the the recording for that, would it be sent to every email or on your or Mr. I can't how do you say your name? Daz?
Dr. Dawes, you mean the recording for this session, what we just did?
Yes.
Yeah. What I am going to post this recording on our Homeland Security Facebook site. That will be the first thing I do. If you would like access to the recording, email me separately and we'll figure something out.
Okay. Question. Is there a link to the Facebook site on the school on the page?
Yes, I put the link to the Facebook site in the chat. It was right before we started. I'll put it in there again. I'll put it in the chat to this. Do you see that?
I see it. Thank you.
Yeah. And please, as I was saying before we got started, one of the reasons I was supposed to do this presentation as a live event on Facebook, the reason why I didn't do it there is because I guess you have to have a certain number of, your page has to have a certain number of followers. And I guess our page isn't that popular yet. So just spread the word. And maybe we'll be popular enough to do a live stream one day. Who knows? I don't mind though if because of program requirements and I've been told by higher ups that they because we couldn't do the live stream that I need to get the video, the recording posted on our Facebook page. However, and I've had other folks come to me when I've done these before these. If you want access to the recording that we're making now, email me one-on-one, and we'll figure something out. The only thing I ask is that you just keep that recording for yourself. Yes, Ms. Oglesby, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I did have a quick question, specifically in reference to the Intelligence and Analysis Internship Program.
Yes.
One of the requirements that I noticed you had emphasized the requirement of 60 credit hours, I believe, before starting the internship. And I was just wondering, how does that pertain to transfer students? Is that 60 credit hours from the point of current enrollment, or can that be at least 60 hours transferred in as well?
That's a great question. Now I don't believe I said that for the Department of Homeland Security internship program that you had to have 60 hours completed. I did say for the Defense Intelligence Agency summer internship program, you have to have 60 credit hours. I think is that what you remember?
Yes, sir. The Intelligence and Analysis Internship, the summer one. Yes, sir.
Well, again, the Intelligence and Analysis internship program is with the Department of Homeland Security. That does not have um, you don't have to have 60 credit hours for that one. It's the Defense Intelligence Agency program that specifically says you have to have 60 credit hours.
Understood. Okay, I mixed them up. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear on that. So if you wanted to apply for the Defense Intelligence Agency program, the 60 credit hour, the way they look at it is they would look at the institution that you're currently enrolled with and make a determination from that. So they would ask for your unofficial transcript from your current institution and go by that based on your degree program. So like there are 100, you need to have at least 120 credit hours to get your bachelor's at ECSU. And they would see how many credit hours does ECSU consider this student having completed up until this time.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great question. Great question. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all for your time today. Really appreciate it. This is one of the things that we're trying to do better with the program in terms of talking about opportunities. And I don't give guarantees, but I can tell you, I know people who work at these agencies, and I know people who make the decisions for the things that we're talking about. They want students who go to schools like ECSU, who meet the minimum requirements to apply for these programs. I am told every single year that they always have more billets and slots left open because not enough students are applying. So I would just like to encourage any of you, if you have any interest at all in these, to give it some consideration, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out if you have an interest in that. So having said that, if anybody, please feel free to reach out to me individually if you have any questions that you'd like to bring to me one-on-one. And that is all I have for today. You all take care.